of the unionism. They had made our life easier. Those who came later on and worked as a general manager, they can focus on sales, they can focus on innovation, they can say operations rather than involving themselves one of the most deadly act of the unionism. This gentleman has worked with top hotels like Oberoi's, Swasti International, and currently is the corporate general manager of Lindsay Group of Hotels. He is actually handling almost 12 hotels, 310 before Christ era in Goa. So he'll be joining from Goa. So currently he will be joining a little bit late because he has a little bit of meeting. So we from PCT welcome all the four guests wholeheartedly. And today we would like to, hear from you about the opportunities, about new trends. Before coming to my first guest, I would just like to give you a small brief that this hotel industry for last 5 decades has gone under a massive change, has gone under huge changes. The hospitality industry we are talking about in India in 1970s, when the big giants like Taj Hotels, Sheraton, ITC started acquiring the palaces of the kings, the nizams, the forts, and started converting to the most luxurious business of hotels. They started these palaces, with the attached bathrooms, big chandeliers, and they came into the first time the luxurious business of the hotels, which started from 150 rooms to 400 rooms. And so in 1970s, when this five-star hotel started with the concept, it was started with a couple of restaurants, fine dining restaurants. These restaurants were actually, from that time, either the French cuisine or British Raj cuisine, and some of the specialty cuisine of India. India was actually emerging. It was the base was starting of the hospitality industry. In 1970s and 80s, it was the evolution of the five-star hotel, more modified, more the five-star hotels, the land was cheap and people invested in five-star hotels. And the restaurants, the nightclubs in 1980s, we see the Oberoi started their Pink Elephant nightclubs. Now, the evolution of the five-star hotel started in the 1970s and peak at 1980s. In 1990s, what we see, a chunk of the five-star hotel, that is the restaurant, just came out as a standalone because hotel industry to make a five-star hotel, it was very costly, almost 100 crores. And almost during that time, we had couple of hundreds five-star hotels in India. In 1990, we saw an evolution, a starting of a standalone, from a five-star, the specialty themed restaurant just started as an individual. The costing was less. It was almost within 1-2 crores. You can have one of the most fine dining specialty restaurant. Now, India was these branches of different cuisines of India. The new cuisines came to the market, Mexican cuisine, Peruvian cuisine, and it started growing. In 2000, we see again few chunks, the nightclubs of Taj.
Hello.
Hello. Established in the five-star hotels like Oberoi, the Pink Elephant, the classic of ITCs, Dublin, the Taj Incognito. These were standalone. In 2000, we saw standalone discos like Nocturne. These came into the market throughout India. And industry was not limited to 24 hours in only five-star hotels. Outside the five-star hotels, industry was growing. The new event management came into the picture. And one of the important segment of the fine dining, the coffee shop, 24 hours fine dining restaurant also came as a standalone part. So 2000 was a great, and industry expanded like anything. 2010, industry was gone to its peak. In 2010, we saw small kiosks, like a small dairy, if you talk about. They came into a five-star picture as a standalone, a small joint, a takeaway joint. They started, with their five-star kiosk. They started opening in different branches and selling a high good quality. Then came 2020, one of the dark era of the hospitality industry, a pandemic, which has mostly the hardest hit was the hospitality and tourism industry. For last 8 months, the industry is at standstill. But what is lying after the COVID? It's a big question. This industry has been changing. His industry has been evolved in for last few decades. But the irony is that when the industry, the hurt was social gathering. The industry is based on social gathering. Pandemic demanded social distancing. So what will be after this pandemic will be over? What we will see new trends. We will see a great growth of the Indian cuisine, a wave of the Indian cuisine throughout the world because of its medicinal value. Shall we see a decline of the bakery product, of the fast food products in the because now the people are much more health aware. The much more people are aware that they won't be going for any garbage. So what exactly is lying for us is we will see, you know, in future what is lying for us. So I invite the first guest, Chef Rangan Yogi. Chef, please, spare few words and show us the path that what exactly is the future lying for us, for the hospitality industry, for the newcomers who are actually stepping in the hotel management in the first year, second year, third year. So what exactly is lying for us? Chef Rangan, it's, Yogi, it's the stage is yours. So kindly, please, speak about what is about the future of the industry. So it's to Chef Rangan Yogi. Chef Rangan Yogi, I think there is some connection issues. Chef Rangan Yogi, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, yes, sir. The stage is yours. Please.
Yeah. Firstly, uh, thank everyone badly hit badly by the COVID pandemic. Now they're allowing only 100 guests, but from my experience, I gather that most of the go for a wedding party of 100 guests. So they had a plan to get their children's wedding lavish affair, and they are mostly waiting for the normal situations to come. So again, now we'll have to start from the scratch. So first, we'll have to look after the hygiene part of that. There is no denying that the sourcing and gathering from local produce, we'll have to rely on that, because previously for the last 10 years, we used to take materials, export materials, but now we'll have to do with the local materials from local market. First of the thing to be we'll have to redefining the training of our staffs, following all government bodies norms like FSSI norms, and we'll have to impart training to our staffs. That is the first step. Next thing is we'll have to food menu has to be compact to minimize the loss. We and moreover, we have to start from scratch again. We'll have to minimize the human interaction as well. We are thinking of not allowing any staff above 65 years. Use of mask, gloves, chef's uniform, headgears are mandatory. Staff will be screened with digital thermometer before joining the duties. All our vendors coming to deliver the goods will have to be wash their hand with sanitizer of 70% alcohol percentage. These are the few steps we are taking to start with.
Okay, Ramanda, do we see a new changes in the industry? Do we see certain changes of the cuisine? Do we see certain, new innovation coming up? If you talk about your thing, what, yes.
We are planning some menu which are most which will increase the immunity of the person. So we are avoiding all salad bars. We don't want to use any cut vegetables, cut fruits, raw material, raw fruits. So some
Okay.
changes are there. We are already in the process of planning. We are following the FSSI regulations and government regulations. We are in touch with the FERAI, Federation of Hotel Restaurant Association of India, and totally we are revamping the menu, just making the menu a compact one to meet up the loss.
Okay. So do you feel that the five-star hotels will also undergo certain changes, or they will modify, or they will come up, because it will take a couple of years, to bounce back. The industry will take a couple of
Yeah,
years. So any
yeah.
new
So
strategies? Yes.
we are just minimizing the staff, because until and the cost of the staff, then you can't thrive in the market.
Okay. Okay. Right, Ramanda. And anything else you like to add for those students who will be passing out? What exactly they will be looking forward, in this critical part, critical time in the industry? Those students who will
See,
be joining.
the students will be joining this trade. Nothing to worry about. We will definitely, our industry will bounce back. It will take some time. Don't desert it.
Right. Right. Thank you, Ramanda, for your great words about this thing. Thank you very much. And I would like to request our next guest, Miss Brigade White Kumar. So, madam, if you kindly talk about exactly, the Anglo-Indian cuisine, and what exactly it is having connection with the next future, how this can be a part of this industry. So, Miss Brigade White Kumar, if you kindly talk about this in the next few minutes.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to address you all. And as you know, I am not a chef as such. I'm actually a retired banker who had this passion for reviving my community's cuisine. So for the last 20 years, I've been actively involved in preserving and you could say um, um, even spreading this cuisine all over India and the world through my books and my workshops and other means. So to me, Anglo-Indian cuisine actually covers the early days of the British East India Company. Not only the British East India Company, the earliest East India Company, that is from 1660 through the end of the Raj, and the foods that evolved because of this contact. So it was not only because of the British that Anglo-Indian cuisine has evolved, but it was all the European nations who came to India who left an indelible mark on our cuisine. So we had the French, we had the Portuguese, we had the Dutch, and we had the Scottish, and we had the British. So all we have whatever they had to offer, and we've added a beautiful, given it an exotic touch with our Indian spices. Now, Anglo-Indian cuisine is very judicious in the use of its spices. That's what makes it very different from a normal Indian cuisine. We are using the same ingredients that is used for Indian cooking, but we never overuse a particular spice, or we don't, mishmash them so that there's a confusion in taste. We bring out the strength of very few spices in a dish. So that is what, is the beauty of Anglo-Indian cuisine. And there's certain glamour about the dishes like railway mutton curry and the Dak Bangla cuisine like the Dak Bangla chicken. Then there's, you know, country captain. All these have a history behind them. And that's how they got the names. Now, the railway mutton curry, actually, the original curry of that, whatever dish that was prepared for the first time was actually innovated by Spencer's company in Bombay. And it was served for the first time at Victoria Station in their refreshment room. And then, because it was so well received, it was taken on the train. Now you should understand that you cannot cook on a train in the olden days because it was a steam engine that was pulling the train. We didn't have gas, we didn't have electricity in the pantries. So what it would be, the train on its journey is the first time this actually took place was on the blue train between Bombay Thana and Calcutta, which went through Nagpur as well. And it was, we never said Nagpur in those days, we said Nagpur. So the train would stop at big stations. The food would be cooked at those, in those places and brought onto the train and served in these pantry cars, which were like mini restaurants. You should, I mean, there are stories of the waiters being so well dressed in their white uniforms, wearing white gloves and, using the appropriate cutlery and crockery and everything to serve these dishes on the train. Now you've got to understand that in those days, traveling by train was only for the elite. It was supposed to be, aristocratic because only high-ranking British officials and the higher society of Indians would travel by train. So that is the story behind the railway mutton curry. It was a very light dish, a very thin gravy dish, which had some preserving agent in it because there was no fridge or ice box or anything in the olden days. So it had a souring agent, which was either tamarind juice or vinegar in its preparation. Because it had to be, travel quite some distance on the train so that they could serve it at that time. Similarly, the Dak Bangla curries were mostly chicken or eggs, whatever was locally available and grown in these Dak Banglas. So these Banglas or rest houses were on the Dak route, which is the postal route. So on the postal route, even the carriages carrying passengers would come. So, these were very basic rest houses. And most of the time, it was British officers who were traveling the length and breadth of the country on official work. So they would rest up these Dak Banglas. And the Dak Bangla caretaker, doubled up as a cook, as everything. He was all in all person in the Dak Bangla. So what could he do? Immediately he had to prepare a meal. And what else would be there? He would be rearing some chicks or hens in the compound. So one of them would meet its end. So this is the thing. And there are many other examples of Anglo-Indian dishes which have a lot of history behind them. Probably you wouldn't know that the legacy of the Portuguese was Vindaloo to us, which was actually just a garlic and a vinegar-based stew in Portugal. But once it came to India, it became, a lot of other spices and other things were added to it. So you've got to remember that the Portuguese were pan-India. They didn't only go to Goa, so only Goa doesn't have Portuguese influence or Portuguese Vindaloo. All of us have got Portuguese blood as well. On my mother's side, I am Portuguese. So we all have this legacy. And the Portuguese were responsible for bringing in tomatoes, and they gave us all the souring ingredients. And pickle actually is one of the legacies that they have left us, because it was a way of preserving food for many days. They used to pickle fish, they used to pickle pork and keep it, because there was that was needed when there was no food or it was scarce. So this is a slight background of this cuisine. But I'd like to say that Anglo-Indian food is very healthy because, first of all, it has to be prepared fresh. That's why no hotel I've seen can make a basic gravy or anything and keep it aside like you do for Indian dishes, for Anglo-Indian food, because each dish calls for different ingredients. So each dish tastes different. So in that way, food is prepared fresh. And another thing is very healthy because we are using spices like cinnamon and cloves and pepper and ginger and garlic, which has a lot of medicinal value in them. So I feel now that during this pandemic, everyone have sort of started relishing their own home food, fresh food, so that this would continue, I think. And then even restaurants now, they need not cater to large gatherings. So it would be easier for them to make small quantities of fresh food with these simple ingredients. So post-COVID, I think the whole industry is going to change. A lot of simpler food is going to come into the picture. I think now, because people are at home, they're not enjoying the heavy food that they used to like earlier. Everyone are becoming more health conscious, and building immunity is only by having these fresh foods and fresh ingredients.
Thank you. Enriched words, about this so-called the lost cuisine actually. And you're very true that, this British Raj cuisine was actually designed, the food which they didn't have these fridges and ice boxes, and which can be preserved. So definitely a new form of like after post-COVID, since it will assume that after 1 or 2 years, people will restrict themselves, going to the industry rather than taking packaged foods. So these form of these, healthy pickles or healthy form of this, soups, mulligatawani soups. And also, since, we had this, as you were talking about the British Raj cuisine connection about the Portuguese and Dutch and this so-called, there is a connection in Kerala because British has had a big belt in Kerala, in Thekadi, in Wayanad, and the payasam, or we in Punjab, what we say kheer, the payasam with the puff rice and jaggery, it's actually, madam, an innovation of the British Raj cuisine, and people are coming up after post-COVID. There is a company which is coming up in Kerala. There are almost 100 to 150 types of payasam, like bamboo shoot payasam and mushroom payasam.
It's more like a rice soup.
Absolutely.
That is sweetened.
Sweetened.
So, that's all. So if you unless you add sugar or jaggery in your payasam, it becomes a sweet dish. But the same dish, if you just add some pepper and salt, it's actually a soup.
Absolutely, madam.
Yes.
Absolutely, because with amla or the Indian gooseberry, they have also prepared this thing. So this is actually the need of an hour. So it will be coming up the packaging food and Anglo-Indian cuisine, because again this particular cuisine has a lot of medicinal values. It is a cuisine, an exotic cuisine in its own. So new restaurants in this COVID, we have seen a lot of restaurants closed up because they could not have, because of the infrastructure costs, because of the multi cuisine. Yes. So we'll see a rise in Anglo-Indian and a British Raj cuisine revival back in the five-star hotels and in the restaurant industry. Thank you,
Yes.
madam. Thank you very much, for your presence. And we are enriched today with a new cuisine.
I
Definitely,
mean,
all the students.
I would have spoken longer, but I know that it's just a short seminar. So,
Madam, if you want,
others,
if you want to speak some specific more about this cuisine, few minutes more, please you can add some values to this if you want.
I know not exactly, but I just want to say that every cuisine in India is important, and we as a whole should value our old recipes, which is very, very important. Since a lot of trial and error went into creating those recipes by the older generation. So we should always, never mix or match something from an original recipe, because then it detracts from the actual value of that particular dish or whatever was innovated by those pioneers.
Thank you, madam. And I definitely wish that your 7 remarkable books should be spread to the new generations, because I think the new generations is completely unaware of this, this exotic cuisine. And thank you very much, madam, for joining. And thank you.
Ranjan sir
And
joined
now
us.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you. The third guest is, as I told that, she has developed the skill from very childhood, and because of her, we see this, presentation, the food being created as a designer, and the new field which is coming up as a food tourism. If food tourism can be developed, she is the godmother, the creator. Her brainchild is the food tourism. The food tourism can not only reach every vicinities, every villages and cities in India, it can be a remarkable addition to the new segment of the industry. So please, we welcome Chef Gunjan Goela. Please, the stage is yours, and please enrich us with your the concept.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd like to thank PCTE University for arranging this lovely conversation for all of us, and such a good podium for us to speak and express our thoughts. And in particular to Anirben Gupta, because he's going through recuperating himself from such a major accident. I wish you good luck and a speedy recovery, Anirben. All
Thank you,
the
ma'am.
best to you. I'm just hearing my speakers for me, and they have already spoken what I need to say about food tourism. What is food tourism? I'll start with my presentation. Anirben, can you ask someone, Ajay, to start my thing?
Sure, ma'am.
And I'll get back.
Ma'am, I would be sharing your screen.
Yeah, I'm visible, but is the screen visible? Is the presentation visible
Yes,
to all
madam.
participants? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we have it on a full screen?
Yes.
Sumit sir, take it on a screen view.
Is it on now? It's fine. Ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay.
As I start, what is food tourism and why food tourism? You see, whenever we travel, we always like to go, and besides seeing the place, we definitely need to eat. It could be your breakfast, lunch, dinner. So that is the time we realize when we are in a different city that we get to experience the local cuisine. And that is what is food tourism. Now, what actually happened was, when you had tourists, when you have a house guest, you normally would take them around, telling them about the speciality about your city and talking about that particular cuisine where you are staying, the cuisine of the city. So what happens is, the guest who has come from another city or from another country, he likes to see, and then he starts associating what is the culture of the city. See, because food speaks a volume. when if, for example, you're in North India, you find the food to be more robust. You have all the spices and the amalgamation of spices and the fat, which could be ghee or which could be oil, but that is very robust. Likewise, when you go to Eastern countries, the food changes, the spices remain the same, the style of cooking changes, and so does the food taste. So that is what we are trying to tell everyone, that food tourism is one very good vertical which we can develop and we can take it forward in another level. So what is it? Food tourism is the activity. I'm sorry, I can't see my screen. Can I just ask you to give me a full screen?
It's full screen.
Yeah,
Shall I
can
zoom
you?
it now?
Because I have no control over it. You changed the page. Okay, we'll go to the next page. Food tourism is the activity of travel. No, see, it's cutting. I can't read. Okay, let's stick on this page. What is history and culture, and how is it associated with food tourism? You see, when we have travelers or when we have guests, they are very intrigued to understand the local flavors. For the simple reason, it's a big change for them. That why a change? Because whenever they, as they say in India, food changes after every 40 kilometers. And when you're traveling from one city to another city, the entire food scenario changes. We get to experience a total different concept. And that is the beauty. And I think we can develop this, as Ms. Kumar said, when you should not change the flavor. So that is the secret of retaining the flavor of a particular city. And that's one of the very important tips she's given. Please don't change the recipe. It's very important to retain the recipe and to retain, let's have its own identity. Otherwise, all food would taste similar. Next, please. Now, who are the performers? Now, you see, there is a World Food Travel Association. They have taken food tourism as a very serious subject, and they have trainers, they have guides who are specially being trained for this particular activity. It is not that anybody can talk about food. You have to know the history about food. You have to know the background, and then you have to understand the local stories. You see, you have food walks, whichever city, whichever country you go. Now, food walks are becoming a major part of any city in terms of developing tourism. And of course, there is a good market value and you get good money out of it. So the guides are making good money, but they are trained guides. Likewise, in food tourism, they are food trainers who are taught, who are given classes to understand the local nuances, to read the local stories. It's very important when you communicate to someone, you have to tell them what is the local feel of that particular food. Like a very good example I give here is of chaat. Chaat is one item that you find in the length and breadth of India. But each chaat changes when you go to Gujarat or when you go to South. Now, what is the major difference is the spicing. And of course, is the salt, the chutney that we have made out of. There are places which is made from tamarind, or there are places where we dried mango powder. So these small little things will change the chaat by adding the proportion of salt or reducing the proportion of salt. Can I have the next? Now see, the 25% of economical impact is coming from food tourism and from the food vendors. They all need to be exploited. They are such good artists. I call them artists because they are creating. They are creating a painting for us, because at one shop we'll have golgappas, the other shop we have papri chaat, and the third shop we might have aloo tikki. All this put together, it becomes a painting for the traveler who has come to the city to experience what is the local thing. Next, please. Now, who are the local beneficiaries and what are the different verticals in food tourism? These days, the most popular food tourism has become the Ayurvedic tourism, because Ayurveda is more of a natural treatment. Everybody has some or the other issue. So, and they find India as the hub for Ayurvedic treatment. But in Ayurveda, food is an integral part. So this can be developed, and I would request the universities now to take food tourism as one of the chapters, which can be a part of a syllabus, and the students can take this as a very important assignment to make this as their, rozgari or as their profession. There's a very good earning from it. Now you see the food vendors. I think it's our responsibility to develop those food vendors, to tell them what all food are the stories and what is the importance of that local cuisine. You see, when I went and spoke to so many people, and especially to the food vendors, they say our children are not interested in taking this profession forward. Now, if this happens, we are losing a very important segment of that flavor and taste. We have to educate them that this is a very respectable job. You see, that fellow is not educated. He has come from one of the local cities nearby, and he puts up a small chhaba or a small stand, and he's selling his ware. Now what happens, they don't have the confidence in them to see that the importance that they're carrying as a small chaatwala on the street. Now I feel it is, if we educate them and we along with FSSAI, this can become a very good importance to all the cities of India. Now see, animal welfare comes in it. Why? Because the gaushalas are totally neglected. You find all the cows and the buffaloes grazing on the roads, which has become a major hazard. And there is a good value of milk and the milk products. So I feel one should be responsible for this. Now there's another thing is agro-tourism and entrepreneurship, which I feel all put together, the students and the business community or the entrepreneur can make good verticals out of it and can develop this into a full-fledged business. Next, please. These are the few of the tips that I think is very important for food development and food tourism. You have to read about your local history, your local culture, and know the stories behind the food. As Ms. Kumar said, there's a story behind the that railway chicken. You said, ma'am, what was the name for it?
Railway mutton curry.
Yeah. Now, see, there is a story. If I just say railway mutton curry and I don't know the story, the food has no relevance. It loses 50% of its taste and its exuberance in terms. If I talk about the story, it becomes more interesting. So whenever we go for these food talks, people talk about the food. They tell you small stories. In fact, I would encourage people to order those particular dish which are dying a natural death. Now, ma'am, as you said, railway mutton curry. You know, to be very honest, we had this in our menu at ITC Hotel.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a very popular dish, you know, but it was difficult unless until we started educating the waiter and the chef to talk about it.
Yes.
They would say, oh, it's just like any railway, it is like any mutton curry. But you tell them why is it called railway mutton curry? There is a story, and it creates more interest. That's what I feel. And next, please. Next.
Yes, ma'am. Just a second.
Yeah. You know what I feel, the government now, the government of and the certain departments are also taking care. Delhi tourism has taken a very bold step to have trainers, and the guides are becoming trainers for food tourism. they can relate to them and they can talk and they can create interest for the people. Now, because of the COVID, it's you can take it either way because COVID is here to stay. We only have to prepare ourselves. How do we take this industry to the next level? See, earlier I would have a group of 50 people who are coming for the walk. Now I can only take a group of maybe 20 people because we can't have more than 20 people at one go. In fact, I'm finding it more interesting. Why? Because we can have a better communication. It is a better interaction with them. I can take their questions in a better way. And Delhi government has really encouraged, and I'm sure all the other governments in the state would come up with this and are going to prepare the guides in a more organized manner. Now, when we say what is the authenticity, I said when we talk about a dish, most travelers look for experience that are not part of their daily lives. That's what I mean. If I talk about a particular dish, it'll be of interest to them. So it's important to know that dish. Delivering a service or product that includes local ingredient and demonstrate the traditions and eating habits of the origin brings authenticity in the experience. Now, what happens is there is a place in Rajasthan called Chonki Dhani. So when I take guests there, they get the local food and we get to experience the local style of eating. We sit on the floor, we are served in a local style and we are served in their local dishes also. And the person who's serving you is wearing a very local dress. All this put together makes more interesting and gives a better experience. And now as I say, appreciation, every food has a story. So you must be able to tell them. There should be a very good gastronomic heritage exchange on each dish that you treat them. Interaction is very important because food is a story. Food is something that you need to interact, and that is what makes the food or kills the food. You might just make a cup of tea and serve your guest, but if you tell them that this is a particular type of tea leaves that you've picked up, and there's a particular way you have brewed the tea and the amount of milk you have added, and tell them the importance, that tea becomes very interesting. See, when you watch somebody making tea by the roadside, you see the whole process. He boils the water, he adds milk, he adds sugar, and then at times, जिसे हम कहते हैं ना उछाल के चाय देना, like a meter tea in South, it's a meter tea in Bihar also, where they take the tea up to a meter and pour it in your glass, and that creates a point of interest. That is nothing but just a display of everything. Like of late, we started having display kitchens. So everything is visible, and see the kind of confidence that diner has in you, because everything he can see what's being cooked, and something which is cooked behind the thing, you don't know what's gone in it. So you need to communicate, you need to interact, and that is what makes the food. Now, sustainability, which is the need of the hour. Now, somehow, Ms. Kumar, I want to come back to you and tell you what you've been talking about is exactly what we've been talking about in sustainability and slow food, that we have to keep our heritage intact.
Yes.
We have to keep our values and importance of food. See, in my community, I'm a Gupta from North India, especially I'm a Delhiite. My family is in Delhi from last 200 years. My mother would bathe and enter a kitchen, and she had a particular set of clothes while she was cooking. And just to tell you, if she had to excuse herself to go to the loo, she could not come back to the kitchen without having a bath and changing her clothes.
Yes,
So
yes.
this is the way hygiene was maintained. And this is what I'm going to come to now, that, these are the stories that when we talk and we exchange, it becomes interesting and we are keeping our heritage and sustainably intact. So these are some of the factors. I request all students to take mark, and the students can take their recipes from their grandmother and try and document them, because that would become very interesting.
Yeah.
And That could be the talking point, the students feel, oh, we need to have a book, we need to follow a cookbook. Cooking is never done from a cookbook. You have to understand cooking. Cooking, that's totally a different subject. Maybe I'll talk about it some other day. But what I want to lay stress is that please don't follow a recipe like a die-hard recipe. You have to interact with the recipe. So the best way to learn cooking is when you're watching someone. And I must lay stress here that students, please ask your grandmother to help them, to ask them to help you write the recipes. That will become your journal. And you can make those as a family recipe.
Yeah.
And that is what carries forward your legacy. It's very important because you see, the India was a very rich country with full of information. Unfortunately, when the Mongols and the Mughals invaded our country, all our books were burnt. So this was the sad part India went through. Fortunately, the Britishers tried to revive to a large extent, but of course with their own influence. But no, it could be a good learning. As we say, we got so many influences from various countries that India evolved and came out with its own cuisine. Now, as we say, Urdu is no language. It is an influence of Mughal and Hindustan or Hindi. This new language emerged, which is Urdu. So India can learn. I mean, everybody can learn. It is the way how you perceive the whole thought. Next, please. Food safety. Now, ISO has come up with all those standards. FSSAI is coming up with so many rules and regulation. It, in fact, gives you a more authenticity, and you can talk with so much of confidence because you're following certain regime. When you follow them, I'm addressing to the students, if you follow those regimes, you're more confident your food is safe. And with COVID times, you have to lay more emphasis. You have to be a little more hygienic. In fact, I feel we always had hygiene. It's just that somewhere when we become commercial, we overlook certain factors. So don't do that. Food is such an important integral part of our living. It has to be hygienic, and food safety should be of prime importance. And we must follow the food safety rules. The next, please. Why is ISO existing? It is just the way the standards are managed, and the restaurants and the food supply chains are certified, and you get, the visitors are more confident. Here, I like to add one line, when there are foreigners, when they come to India and we take them around and we tell them, okay, you could try the chaat or you could try the local cuisine. At times we are the first speakers to say, no, don't try this. This may not be very safe for you. We are cutting a sorry figure, and why should we speak ill about our own cuisine? When I go to certain countries, I don't want to name a particular country, and when I eat their food, it's absolutely, I don't enjoy it. There is no spicing in it. So I say, okay, can I have some pepper, or I can have some lemon? And I try to change the flavor to as my palate. But the food I was served was the way they cook and they like to serve. So my request to everybody is, the way chaat is made, let it be. It is for their threshold to take, whether that person can take or not. You can just guide them to control the spicing on the initial stages, but don't change the food as per the diner or as per your guest, because then you lose your authenticity. Let the food be what it is, but of course you can control to some percent, but don't change the dish. Don't change the entire ingredient of your dish. Can I have the next one, please? Now see, technology has a very important role everywhere, all across the globe. Rubik is empower passengers to self-manage flight disruptions. You know, all these Tata and all other mobile applications are only going to help food in a better way and in a more safer way, because we need to apply these. Food tourism needs all this, because you can then understand what food is where to go, how to select the food. Next, please. Now, see, if food tourism is going to be the future, then the airports are also changing. Now, B towns are going to be the most talked about cities. Like Indore, everybody knows has a Johari Bazaar by the day and turns into a food eatery by the evening. So the entire night, there are food stalls by the road, by outside the shops, were selling food stalls, and lovely chart, and what an experience it is, I can't tell you. Now, the B towns like Lucknow, Jaipur, they are coming up with food tourism packages where a guest comes and plans a trip and says, all right, I will be in Jaipur, instead of 2 days, I like to have 4 days, because I want to see their local cuisine. So these are the way, you know, tourism is taking place, and tourism is going to be a very big market. It can develop into a full-fledged vertical and a full-fledged industry. The tourism industry is working very hard, and they're planning future discounts. You know, if you plan your trip 6 months ahead, they're giving you very good discounts. This is just a way to let more people come in and take food tourism as a major part of their itinerary. Next, please. Uh, as I've already said, this work is beneficial in preserving many of our daily, I'm missing the word, customs and traditions which are slowly being forgotten, replaced by glitz of modern life. So pizzas and pastas have been there, and they have played a very dominant role in Indian cuisine. My request to everybody is, please revive your old cuisine. You know, like, can you imagine in London, they are selling chicken tikka masala as the Indian chicken tikka masala, but in India there is no such dish called Indian tikka masala. It is tikka, it's chicken tikka or butter chicken, but it's the way it is, you know, distorted. So I feel, please keep your tradition intact and keep the modern life. Of course, it's important to go with the present times, but keep the knowledge and the tradition intact. Next, please. I think it's not going to take 24 months. This is here. COVID is here till the time we get the vaccine. But since food is something you can't do without, you need food all throughout. So food and COVID will be here for the rest of our life. We just need to find ways. How do we go ahead, and how do we struggle, and how do we perish with this problem? Next, please. I've taken these reference, and I would also like to say that the World Food Travel Association and the Indian Food Tourism are really working very hard to create this vertical and to make this into a full-fledged business. So I request all the universities, especially to PCT University, please make this as one of the courses, because the students are really going to benefit, and we all will be benefit from it. Thank you so much for hearing me. Any questions? I'm open.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for the lovely and great presentation. And after hearing the presentation, you know, I'm just remembering this William Shakespeare's poem that all world is the stage and we all are merely actors. That the
Yes.
entire India is the work field and we have so much thing to do.
Yes.
You know, and as you know, when South India is being, when we mention South India globally also, we are thinking that a lot of educated chefs also talk about, you know, Italy, dosa, vada, you know, now sometimes chicken chutney, but they don't understand this is just out of 10,000 dishes. It's just
Right.
3, 4 dishes about South India. If you go to South India, kuttu, appam.
Oh,
These
that's
have
only
so
local
much,
food.
yeah,
Correct,
kuttu,
correct.
so much thing to do, so much things to show to the world. So I think the food tourism can be the next, one of the most potential and one of the most powerful weapon of this hospitality industry. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. I'll just move on to the next guest. The next guest is last but not the least is the gentleman who is working as a general manager for almost 2.5 decades. And this gentleman, has helped us, as I mentioned, helped a lot of upcoming general managers, good working place where they can work, focus on their work rather than focusing on this unionism and this thing. And his contribution has a great thing in the industry. So I would like to invite Mr. Ranjan Prasad, the corporate general manager of Lindsay Group of Hotels, and he had his starting his career with Oberoi's, with Kellenworth, with he is from a very small town, and how he has lived his dreams, how he has become a successful. It is also an inspiration for the newcomers that if you have wish, if you have will, nothing is no obstacles comes in front of you, and you can reach your goals. So Ranjan sir, the stage is yours. We would like to hear what is the opportunities the five-star hotels have, post COVID, and what is new things will be coming up. So, Ranjan sir, it's over to you.
Thank you, Anirban, for giving a fantastic introduction of mine. But trust me, I'm a person in which hospitality, treatment, take care is more important. This is all about passion towards the work which actually excels you up the ladder, right? And I was to Kunjan Madam. Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. Really, food is one aspect which pulls all the guests in. Whether you whether you build up a palace, whether you build up a small hut, it's the food, it's the gastronomic pull, it's the smell which pulls the guest in. And to that, if we add up a good service, that is cherry on the cake, I would say, right? So having said so, I am actually heading a hotel in Goa, which is with a Vedic resort theme, which is of a bygone era, and the name of the resort is 3102 BCE. I'm sure everyone in the platform must be thinking about what is this 3102 and BCE. It's about a era. It's about 3102 BC is the year in which all the seven planets were found in one line, and it is said that Lord Krishna happened to leave his incarnation and we in to Kali Yuga. BC is for common era. That's the concept in this hotel is built up, big hotel, and all the services, all the expenses, what we deliver to the guest out here in this resort is typically the ancient uh, hospitality related to the Indus Valley civilization, River Saraswati, and all the civilization which is inculcated and the services which we used to experience during those days has tried to revive with, and all this services, all this history has been concepted and put into this resort operations. Of course, everyone is scared about COVID. Everybody is scared about the pandemic situations which is happening around. But trust me, me and my team and my company is looking forward to build up the trust and all necessary guidelines given by the government of tourism department, as well as the Ministry of Health Affairs, Home Affairs. All these things are being put into place. Uh, it's really a challenge for all of us. As you rightly said, everybody requires food to eat. Yes, that is there. People have been sitting and been kept idle and been asked to not to move out of their home. Now, once the lockdown are getting over, people are looking forward for a sanitized, good, safe place to move out, and they're looking for expense, which is very different, which is very because after the lockdown, people are looking for opportunity where to move out, where to have a holiday, where to take a family out, and Goa being a destination which is very safest at this point of time, and all guidelines which has been given by the government of tourism by government of Goa have been strictly followed, and and the government is also a little flexible in that aspect in terms of recently we do not have to take permission from the collector office whether to move in to other state cross the borders. Related to the COVID-19 test reports that has also been has been taken off very recently. So these are the opportunities when tourists have started coming into our hotel. Uh, there are challenges, of course. Staffs who have gone back before the start of COVID, they are still struggling whether to come back, how to come back. The trains and flight has to get operationalized. But yes, this has given us an opportunity to get ourselves tuned up into a multitasking job, uh, which is a great requirement for the industry at this point of time, and it gives the opportunity for a multi-departmental role to play. Uh, Person from front office gets acknowledged with the housekeeping, which is the room division. So multitasking operations opportunities are there. An opportunity for the staff to inculcate new skills related to the operation aspect, and how to manage an operation with the limited resources, at the same time managing not deviating from the quality, at the same time managing and controlling the sanitization process, making ensure that the room is safe, sanitized, and it is open for the guest use, right? So these are the things we are doing, and it's a challenge, and it's very nice, and everybody is getting a multi-skill concept. So people are looking forward to interdepartmental role. So those are the things which we are looking into, and in fact, it's a good opportunity for the employees. It's a good opportunity for the newcomers who are actually joining the industry to play on a multitasking and multi-departmental role and become an entrepreneurship as well. Yes, Ajit.
Thank you, sir. And I think that we have a great session, and the people from different dimension from the industry, they have the different dynamics of the industry, and at the end of the gist is that we should stick to our roots, we should go back to our roots, and our roots has a lot of opportunities. We don't need to go to some other destination. We in India has a broad sea like opportunities. We should know our roots. For the individuals who are doing hotel management, they should know their roots of the culinary very strongly. And the legends, the people like you all have set the industry, have made the path. So they just need to follow it. They can in future, with their roots, with their stronger things, they can add on values. So it was a great learning session, and we hope all has will be enriched with some other thing from all the people. And I'll request Sumit sir, to open a question answer session for the students with the dignitaries who are present. The students, if they have the question, they can, have the question answer with the dignitaries.
Yes.
Sumit sir, it's to you.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much to all the guests. It was a privilege to hear you all and your views on hospitality industry. So this is for all the participants, those who want to ask questions to our guests. They can post in the chat box. Chat box is open now, so they can post their questions right now. Since sir, I got one question here that how can we guide or train the roadside food vendors for their health and for related to hygiene? Is there what type of tips we can give it to the roadside vendors for the hygiene?
Is a question for me?
I think, Burja madam, it is related to the food tourism.
Okay.
If you kindly answer, yeah.
Yeah, you see, the FSSI is holding workshops, and not just in any one particular city. It's all across the length and width of India. And there are trainers who go to the food vendors, to the street food vendors, and they're training them and they're telling them how to cook hygienically. They've given them a list and they're finally certified from them. So they are also very confident. They can very
Yes, ma'am.
proudly say that they are a officially qualified trainer, and a certification is also there. So these shops are under control now.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, so there is one question. It says like hotel industry is minimizing the staff right now because of this coronavirus. So what about the newcomers, those who will be completing their degree or their courses just now on this year?
I think Ranjan sir, if you kindly answer this.
Yeah, come again with the question, please. Little loud.
As yes, the question is that hotel industry is minimizing the staff right now because of coronavirus. And what about the newcomers, those who are just joining or just about to join the industry this year?
I could. The audio is not very clear, but I could hear that you are talking about the newcomers.
Yes, sir.
Since
Yes,
the hotel
sir.
is. What is it? Come again. It's could be little loud, please. Yes.
Yes, the ventures for the newcomers in the industry at this
Yeah.
time, those who are passing out just now.
This is a good opportunity for them. Never be scared about of the opportunities will be less or more. There will be ever an opportunity in this industry as long as the food. See, a person needs to have a place to live. A person will definitely eat food, and a person will travel as well. So these three things are not going to stop at any point of time. There was a situation when we had 26/11. There was a situation when we talk about attack on the World Trade Center. Everybody was thinking about what will happen, what will happen. So these are the short-term threats which are happening. But I'm sure things will get over very, very soon. So not to worry about COVID-19 is there. It is there, of course, but it is not going to be jolting upon our industry. Moving. The food industry will keep on carrying on, and people will travel as well. Yes, the frequency of travel will be less. That is where the industry is struggling hard to ensure that the place wherever the guest is going to stay in is safe, secure, sanitized. That trust level, we have to revive it. We will have to win over the confidence of the tourists. Yes, wherever I'm going, that is a worth and absolutely a sanitized place to live in. That confidence has to be built up, and that is exactly the restrictions which has been guided by the government, that has been followed very, very strictly to ensure the trust level is regained.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. I think actually the time I asked the question and you were answering the same time, I got one or two questions which was similar to this, that what would be the future of students, those who are passing out just now and they are freshers. So I think that would be the sufficient answer for all of the same questions.
I would say, Sumit, it is the right opportunity for the students to inculcate and stick to the training models which has been provided by PCTE. And Sumit,
Yes,
I believe your institution is doing a great job by organizing such sessions with the top officials, the legend of the industry. Because this opportunity we did not get when I was doing my studies, so it's a golden opportunity for them.
yes,
In our era, we did not have the opportunity to work with about Google and computer, internet. So it's a very good opportunity, very good platform. PCT is doing it, and I really thank to Anirban and to your team that is doing an excellent job by giving a platform and giving an insight about the industry, the legends of the industry who are talking to them. So I'm sure you are doing a fantastic job. They will be getting enlightened with the talk whatever we are giving through, and of course we are there to guide them. Need not to be worried about it all.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. I'm really happy that we are here and we hear you. And I think students would be more happy and satisfied with your answers, and they are more confident that they have got the proper direction and the best answers. So they will.
Absolutely,
Thank you so
absolutely.
much, sir.
Anytime.
Yes, sir.
Any opportunity for me to come over to Punjab, and if I can give them a boosting dose, or if they wish to come over to Goa for a training, of course they can do that. Most welcome.
Definitely, sir.
Sumit sir, the question, this was a very important question, and the
Yes, sir.
answer lies in the webinar. The
Yes, sir.
answer, these legends like, Miss
Yes.
Brigitte White and Miss Gunjan Goyala, Chef Rangan Yogi, Mr. Ranjan sir, they are speaking one word. That is,
Yes.
just right now, it's not the time to sticking to the orthodox. Right
Yes.
now, it is the time for, the new wave is coming up as Indian roots. As Mrs. Brigitte told, you have to stick to your roots. Now the flow of opportunities will be coming, which has not seen. If COVID you are thinking as a negative, we are thinking about the most positive time is coming after decades for the Indian hospitality industry. The food tourism, a new dimension of the Indian culinary, which will sway the entire world. There was a time when only Chinese used to create the entire market from five-star till the small kiosk. So it is a time when the Indian culinary, such a diversified Indian culinary, will sway the world market. So it is actually a great opportunity for the Indians. So I think it's one of the most positive thing from the COVID.
Yes, sir. Sir, if you can a little bit more tell about the trainings of which is like, few students are about to go on training. So what would be the exposure for them in coming weeks or coming months?
They should immediately get into associate with the hotels. I'm sure, and they should get to know the industry. So whenever you have a winter vacation, I would advise students not, instead of going back home and spending holidays at home, they should get associated with the hotels and do a short training. So it's basically information, the operations, and it's time that they should know the industry. They should be able to see what this industry is all about, how the operation takes place, how the things work on. If we think about a menu, how does a menu is made, how does the costing worked out? So all these things will be adding up value to their studies, along with the training modules, along with the theoretical knowledge what we are imparting at the institute. So more and more they become associated with the hotels, work on a short-term apprenticeship program or something like that. They should be able to inculcate the practical knowledge, what exactly happens on the ground floor, what exactly at the ground, what is the practicality of operating. So that should be that is that one activity I should always encourage the students to do so.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Our next question is that I am framing it in a way that students want to know that the robots are like artificial intelligence. We see all the examples on social media and on the internet as well, that they are coming into hotels and making the product and helping to the guests. So is the demand will be low for the freshers because of artificial intelligence?
Sumit, let me correct you. Nothing can beat a personal touch than
Yes,
anything
sir.
else,
Definitely.
right? If your mom pats your head,
Yes.
the reaction what you get, and a robot pats your head, you will always have a difference.
Well
So
said.
nothing beats the personal touch, nothing beats the personal interaction, nothing beats anything else. Robots,
Definitely.
everything is fine, technology is definitely there, it has got a different impact. But I tell you, personal touch has its own impact. Of course, because of COVID-19, we are going on a contactless mode of operation where there is less of contacts, where there is less of human touch, where there is less of and self-service aspect. But trust me, personalized personal touch will always exist in the hotel industry, and that impact will always be there.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. With the less words, we have said so many things, and I think the students will definitely understand this one. And
Great,
I would
Sumit.
like,
Great, Sumit. Very nice. It was pleasure
thank you so
speaking to
much.
you. If you have any question here, feel free to drop in a
Yes.
mail to my email ID. I'm sure anyone will have so. And
Sure,
I
sir.
would
Sure.
look forward to your students if they're coming to Goa for training or so. We will be very happy to extend support to them. And whatever
Definitely.
knowledge can be possible from my end shall be surely extended.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and your consent, please. I would like to tell Mr. Anirban Gupta if you can give a thanks of word, or we can move further. I think that's
Yes, yes, Sumit sir.
yes.
This is first of all, I would like to thank all the guests who are there for spending their most precious moments from the industry, and almost there with 1.5 hours. So thank you each and every one of you. Thank you Rangunda. Thank you Gunjan madam. Thank you Chef Miss Brigade, and thank you Ranjan sir. It's a privilege. I think it's one of the very rare platform where we actually understand, actually we share so much knowledge. We actually there are different myths which we actually know. There are understanding once what exactly we understand the future. Thank you everyone, and thank you the audience being there, and definitely today we have this webinar because of this restriction in COVID. In future will definitely come up, all four of us entire we'll have someday a seminar where we can create something for the students life. So I look for that day, the opportunities, and thank you very much all of you, and all the students, the present, the teachers, the faculties, the guests, everybody. And we wish you a excellent a time ahead. And for the students, you are the future. That a lot of students, a diamond will never lose its its price in the market. So be a diamond, price will follow you. So be prepare yourself for that. There will be lakhs of students who are competing, but there will be few handful of students who will be capturing the market, who will be leading the team. So thank you once again. Thank you, sir, and Sumit sir. With folded hands, we
Yes, sir.
end this session.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank